Right, so this is a take 2 of a somatic tracking practice that did a couple of weeks ago that explained the components of somatic tracking, so that if you are at a point where you feel that it's something you want to have a go at and practice, these are the nuts and bolts of it. Because I don't know everybody who's watching this on record, or don't know everybody's history, just a quick disclaimer. So the content of the workshop is just for information purposes only. It's not intended as a substitute or to provide professional medical advice, diagnosis or treatment. Always seek the guidance and advice of your physician or other qualified health professional with any questions you have regarding the medical condition. So this is assuming that you've got persistent pain. By definition, it's over 3 to 6 months, and it's getting elusive to medical treatment, and you have an awareness that this mind-body condition, however you want to describe it, however you enter this field, means you're generally exhausted medical interventions that you may well have been told you have to live with the symptoms or accept what you've got for the rest of your life, or until there's a cure. So these processes look to use neuroplasticity, brain retraining, or embodying a sense of safety, however you want to conceptualize it, to reverse the pain. Essentially, it's not changing the structures. It's not about structurally changing the things or the places you feel pain. It's how you interpret and perceive the pain that is felt as if within those areas. So this is called somatic tracking. Somatic is just of the body, and tracking is noticing or following those feelings. So it's one component part of pain reprocessing therapy. So I'm going to share my screen with you just so that you can see where this fits. Just bear with me a moment. So you should be able to see the screen, somatic tracking. And this is just give you a framework so that if you're at this point of having a go at this, you'll be able to use the information to practice. So you can see that somatic tracking is part the way through into the treatment aspect of pain reprocessing therapy. So psychoeducation is the first part. So it's looking at the reasons and the research and the understanding that pain that's felt within the structure is influenced and contributed by other different factors apart from the place you feel it. There's an assessment procedure. So you can be examined physically, or you can be examined subjectively, historically, if you like, and there's a certain criteria that when you've excluded sinister pathology and when you've excluded sinister structural elements that would need medical treatment, it's beyond the time that if you'd suffered trauma or you've got undiagnosed symptoms that you're left with that and should have healed from the injury, then this is the assessment procedure that really just gives you evidence that it's something amenable to be tracked in this way. So somatic tracking comes after that. So you almost have to reach that point before you do this. If you're still struggling with the belief part, this probably isn't for you. If you're struggling with, I still haven't had it fully assessed, this probably isn't for you. If you're at that point, so yes, I know this is kind of a mind-body thing. I know it's nociplastic pain, neural pathway pain, however you think about that, then this is a good place to add this work in. There's other bits and pieces that follow with pain reprocessing therapy, about how you apply it and where you apply it, and you can use it with other danger signals and look at the patterns of behaviour and how you fit it into self-compassion and prevent relapses. But we're just going to cover this somatic tracking area. So a couple of reasons why it doesn't work. So we'd exclude the reasons why not to do it first. So if you've got an ulterior motive, you want it gone, I'm doing this to get rid of the pain, waste of time. If you're doing it as if you strictly focus on everything that's going on, you have to analyze it in a perfectionist kind of way doesn't work. And if you're really resistant to any sort of change at a conscious level, even or subconscious level, then if it feels a real effort to do it and the pain's not shifting, it's probably not the best place to start. It might be worthwhile going back and exploring some other things first. So before we do anything in terms of the somatic tracking, we've just got to acknowledge where we're at. So there'll be painful thoughts around the symptoms you've got, there'll be painful emotions or feelings around those thoughts, and there'll be painful reactions to those thoughts. So there's this cycle with persistent pain where it seems to be never ending. Reactions trigger thoughts and feelings, feelings trigger reactions and thoughts, thoughts trigger reactions, emotions. So it's just boom, 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 constant cycle, ever decreasing circle in terms of the capacity that you're able to use in life, physically, psychologically, emotionally. And so really, before we do anything, and you make an acknowledgement at this point of how hard it has been struggling through all the beliefs of the past and struggling through the medical interventions, and mostly failed ones for that, and almost forgiving yourself for not seeing this any earlier, because you can only do whatever you did at the time you did it with the information you had. Now, if there's some new awareness at 50 or 55 or 60 or 30, wherever your age you are, you get this awareness, gosh, why didn't I do it earlier? Well, you couldn't, because you didn't have the information then. And even if the information passed you by, you weren't ready to hear it. So it's no blame, guilt or shame. Neither is it that on anybody else involved in contributing to your pain, consciously or unconsciously. Everyone's got the kind of own working out to do in life. It doesn't absolve people of responsibility, but what it does allow this process is to give you 100% responsibility for your own life 100% of the time, only 100% of the time. Now, that's too much for a lot of people, but if you're ready to take 100% responsibility for where you're at on March the 10th, then here we go. But it's acknowledging how hard it's been to that point. So somatic tracking has the three component parts: mindfulness, safety reappraisal, and positive effect induction. Mindfulness is really just putting space between how you think about the thing you're observing, space between it and yourself. If you're lost in the thought, we almost think we are the thoughts, and that's not true. If you're into the feeling, you think you're the feeling, or you feel the feeling as if it is 100% absolute truth. But thoughts are just opinions, and feelings are not really fact. They're an impression of what's going on at the time. I've just skipped forwards and backwards there. Let me just go back a second, sorry. So there's mindfulness, puts the space between it. The safety reappraisal a component is really recognizing that you are safe in the moment at which you are making these observations. So although the thoughts might be scary, feelings might be scary, the reactions might be scary, might have pain, fear, thoughts about that, there isn't any objective danger and you are categorically safe. So it's emphasizing that sense of safety whilst you are observing these feelings. And the third part is positive effect induction. So that really is, again, another mechanism of amplifying a sense of safety by taking it into a positive effect, feeling of linked maybe to love or joy or peace or fun or lightening the mood a little bit. So from this neutral position, you're taking it towards quite a positive effect. Mindfulness, safety reappraisal, and positive effect induction, inducing a positive feeling. So if you take a very simple example of hosepipe on the lawn, we've all run around the garden, if you've been lucky, with a hosepipe in the summer and people squirting it at you, or just letting it go and having its life of its own, well, you can almost imagine it's a snake, you know, as you're jumping around as a little child. And if there's a dog in the garden, that's jumping around at the same time as if it's a snake. There's water coming out its mouth, there's swinging its head around, it might splash you. It's normally fun and games. However, there's something alive within that hose pipe through that imagination that gives it more life than it actually is, because it's just a hose pipe. And if you think of a snake, it has some similarities. It's the shape, the way it moves around. It has more fear engendered to it. It may bite, it might sting, it might kill in the worst case scenario. And that emblematic fear that's attached to the hosepipe is what makes it fun dancing around the garden. But basically, it's a hosepipe. Now, with pain, it has the component parts of what appears to be ongoing damage and ongoing danger, but it's an illusion because that's not an absolute truth. Yes, there may be proof of damage, but other people have that damage without pain. After those 3 to 6 months tissue healing conditioning phase, you're left with a scar. Remember, not all scars hurt. You can have a tattoo, you can have a broken bone, you can have a burn, you can have cuts, bruises. Those tissues, once they heal, you might be left with a scar or no recognition of where it's been at all. But even if there's a scar, they don't all hurt. It's the belief that the pain there is from the scar or from the structure that drives the pain that's witnessed within it. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, not consciously. It's almost habitual, it's unconscious. These mechanisms are unconscious based on the profile of the person experiencing it, and it's not their fault. The patterns that create the persistence of that pain are unconscious. And you can never criticize anybody who's doing something they're not conscious of. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent. Once there's awareness that the consequence of that behavior a result of the behavior that they're responsible for, then there's a chance to be accountable for it, not to blame at a point in time where there were no awareness at all. Doesn't take away their accountability or condone behavior that's come through unconscious patterns. So, with pain, the mindful aspect of it, it's really just allowing a process where you are viewing how you feel with pain, a level that is tolerable, manageable, so that you can go through this process of observing it without reactions that are habitual, attending to how you feel in that moment, knowing there's a tendency for fear to appear, and you reinforce the safety, and then moving across to that positive effect induction. So it's moving you away from the unconscious habitual behaviors and anticipation or experience of the pain to much more healthy mechanisms that allow that neural pathway to be overridden or changed or adapted in a very, very healthy way. So we're back to these three elements. So let's use this mechanism, and let's just do this anonymously, as if you were just watching this and I didn't know you, but you know everything's been checked, you've been assessed, and you have a mind-body condition that you know is influenced by emotions, thoughts, reactive patterns. You might even have it confirmed as a mind-body syndrome. And you're going to use somatic tracking. Once you reach the point you've had everything checked, and you know that it's nothing sinister, and you assessed or worked through the criteria so this fits for you, then let's just have a go at this process. So the mindfulness part is simply you placing your attention or your awareness on the part of your body where you feel the pain. So it doesn't matter if it's your hand or your neck or your shoulder or your knee, or it's a whole body pain or a migraine. It doesn't matter where the pain is or what type of pain it is. It's much more beneficial if the pain is low to medium. If it's at a height where you can barely catch your breath and barely concentrate, it's a little bit like holding your head in front of a lion's mouth and trying to tell yourself you can't. The body's too far into the stress response or fear response for it to have any effect in a positive way. It might calm some people down, but the skill is to practice and reward the behavior rather than the outcome of it. So if you practice where the symptoms are low to medium, you have more opportunity to reward the behavior, and it only has to be short. So pick an area of your body, or maybe it's picked for you because you have pain there, and just place your awareness on it. Take a breath, just 2 or 3 slow breaths, just in through your nose and out through your nose. Or if it's more convenient for you to take a double sniff, a big sniff in, and then a long, deep breath out your mouth. Whatever you recognize as just bringing you to a state of relative calm at the moment. And then you're going to place your awareness on the pain. You're viewing that area of your body as a sensation. It's almost like you're flipping safety goggles on. So you're viewing the sensation through a very safe place. You're teaching your brain that what you experience is actually very safe. It can feel quite counterintuitive, but remember, you're just simply practicing viewing the sensation, feeling the sensation without dropping into a reactive pattern. You just recognize your breath again, and that dictates to your brain and your body what state of calm you're in. So you can always regulate that space by coming back to your breath. So give the sensation a characteristic. Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it deep? Is it superficial? Is it tingling? Is it burning? Is it hot, cold? Is it running down your leg? Is it running into your fingertips? Is it moving or is it staying static? You're giving it calm characteristics as if you're watching something from a distance, as if you're watching that hosepipe move around the garden. It's splashing, it's twisting, it's turning, it has a colour, it moves, it doesn't. Simply observing it without getting involved in the excitement of jumping around the garden with it as if it's a snake. And just come back to your breath again. Notice the narrative you might have chosen. The words that automatically come as you view the sensation. So this is just placing some space between you and the sensations. Have a look again and just notice what's happening. You might describe them to yourself as if you're watching fireworks, or it's moving a little bit. It's going up, it's going down. It's changed, it's jumped from my back to now it's in my leg a little. It's tingling now. It's not tingling now. It's in a line or it's quite fuzzy, like electric shocks, or it's dull and deep and achy. And you're just making that observation through this mindfulness. Let's move through the same process to the safety reappraisal. So you're actually safe where you are whilst your brain and your body and the reactive patterns are playing out. You are actually safe. You're sat in your chair, you might be laid on your bed doing this, you might be just watching this computer screen, but objectively you're safe as I am in the office, which I'm talking to a computer screen on my own, really. And that's okay. It's amazing how the body still can be playing the story of a fearful pattern from the past based on a fearful prediction of the future. You're feeling it now as a sense of danger when you're actually safe. If it's too challenging to say you're safe, well, you can use a double negative and say, well, you're certainly not safe. They cut you in half. It wouldn't say Drew is not safe. So although my body might be feeling unsafe, I am categorically not safe. So give the sensations characteristics again. Go and look again. If it's easier to just check into your breath. And just view what's happening now. What's happening to the pain? What's happening to the sensations? What intensity is it? What movements are there? What movements are not there? Just an observation. We're just going to move around this circle into this positive effect induction. So just as if you were thinking of someone you loved, it induce a really nice feeling. If you thought of a time that you had such good memories with someone, it might trigger a sense of joy, or just a place in nature where it would induce a sense of peace. So whilst we viewed these sensations and all the movements of them and the characteristics and the way you narrate it, that sense of safety that comes from knowing objectively in this moment you are safe, and then just moving round a circle almost to take yourself to a place of safety that comes naturally from considering people you love, whether they're here or not, places you love, whether you can go there or not, or times that you love. And it isn't what you get from those people, places, or times, it's the feeling that it induces from you. So, do you think of the joy you gave to a situation, the love you had or have for someone, or the peaceful memories you have those things, and those memories are induced through you accessing those thoughts again. All the while, these sensations of danger or perceived danger or historic patterns are playing out. And what happens is you're marrying those sensations to a sense of safety and actually inducing quite a positive feeling with no expectation of your nervous system to follow other than being rewarded for the practice. It doesn't matter what's happened to the pain or the sensations or the tingling or the numbness. You've done amazing to have just gone through the process of sitting alongside whatever you feel, whilst committing calmly to moving through these other processes. And that is somatic tracking. It isn't that complicated. It might be helpful to do it with someone or to practice with someone, and it might be helpful for you to make sure you fit the criteria that you're going to get the benefit from this and that you choose it at the right time for you. There are lots of different approaches to persistent pain recovery, and this is just one of them. It's easy that you can do it on your own. It does take practice, like anything else. It's like brushing your teeth. It doesn't have to be done for a long time. But if you can reward yourself simply for demonstrating the calmness of that behavior alongside pain, then that's the behavior that grows, that calmness. So if you are sideswiped with pain, as often the case, or it comes when you anticipate but have to get through it, you can even use it when you're you can't avoid some of the things that might trigger it, or it comes after a time that you might have experienced it when you haven't had opportunity to reduce it at the time. It's still effective when you use it before and after episodes of flares or anticipatory fears. And as time goes on, once you get the application of this in a way that you feel is effective, and you almost get corrective experiences where you see the symptoms change through this process, you can start to use it on predictable times that you might get a physical pain, or predictable times you might get emotional overload that might lead to physical pain. And it really does give you a sense of resilience from a safety perspective, bedded in quite an efficient mechanism, rather than avoidance behaviors, which are exhausting, and boom bust patterns that are very often tied to the persistent pain picture. If you're in the Facebook group, there are some scripts that I can attach or have attached that you can see places to start. There's opportunities to look at when the pain is a little bit more stubborn, or there's barriers presented for it, so there's ways to work around it. But it is something that, if you've never seen before, it's certainly worth a go at. And I hope you found that the information in the little workshops helpful in maybe suggesting a way to start something that's new, or restart something you might have glossed over, or something just to keep practicing in a way that might help you with your recovery.